is up, Faiz family? What is going on? Thanks again, everyone, for checking out this video and your patience for the Alien Earth Season 1 review. It was a lot of work put into this, and hopefully I'll be able to answer a few questions as well as try to educate on a couple of things as well. So sit back, enjoy, and again, this is basically my personal review and answer some of the questions I posted on most social medias to give you guys a heads up on this great, amazing series. And hopefully he'll, get renewed for a second season. That is still up in the air. We don't know how that's going to turn out. But also to try to tackle some of the online hate on the series. So I'm going to try to answer as much of the questions that was posted through the social media and give you guys something to, hey, look forward to. Hey, I need to check this out. And that's pretty much it. And I'm pretty much closing of what I feel that they did right, what they did wrong, and hopefully what they can do as far as a possible season 2. So, as always, if you already know already, sit back, grab a cold one, and let's get this started. So, if you've already seen between the little videos, it's about to go down. And the old saying goes, we was better off if those things stayed in space. So, that being said, let us kick this off with our first question. First question was, which a lot of people was wondering, how many actual specimens are in the show? This was actually anonymous on, I believe, X. Currently now the show is debuting 5 creatures. If you count the xenomorph as number 4, that will be, let's just say, we already know that will be not counted as number 1 in that sort of sense. But it's the other creatures that take the stage that pretty much shows that the alien universe is a lot darker than we thought it would be. So, let us explore the first, what you're going to see on the show. So when you first get into the first season, episode 1 is going to be a little bit, obscure and not going to really show you everything. But I'm going to try to give you that same thing. So it is a little bit of a spoiler, but it's just giving you something to look forward to, and you're gonna something you ask yourself more questions on. So we're gonna go with our first little tidbit, which was the xenomorph, which you already seen and known already, and which may be a little bit hard to see. So we have the blood tick. If you can tell already, it's already about to claim its first victim. Simply this, it's a tick, somewhat of a flea, and it goes for blood. That's pretty much self-explanatory. Where it came from, origin, still don't know, but Weyland-Yutani managed to grab a specimen. Now, just a little bit of information, sort of like a segue. Weyland-Yutani is one of the main companies that's being, I would probably say, not foreshadowed, but you already know this company of all the Alien movies, as well as even some of your Predator movies. Weyland-Yutani is one of the main companies. So to segue off the creatures, we have to go over when and where this is actually happening timeline wise. So everybody knows Weyland-Yutani in all the different alien movies, one way, shape, or form, but we're gonna see where everything else balances off. So first question besides the aliens was, what timeline does this take place in? This takes place right smack dab in the year 2020. So, Prometheus, which is the first movie, if you haven't seen it, amazing movie. It basically gets your foot in the door of what aliens are and what's the reason for them being. And leading to Alien Covenant, where you have a more exploration of the concept of the aliens, but where humans now sort of took over where the engineers, if you don't know what the engineers are, those are again alien Prometheus. We sort of took over where the engineers left off at, and they were into Alien Earth. So Alien Earth is basically Weyland-Yutani going out the universe in 2020, 2120, looking for the vast amount of different creatures from different areas. But whatever happened at the end of Alien Covenant, Yutani still had David and still had that first alien specimen. They had more or less not a full blown alien, but I would probably say more or less the little eggs or cells. Then from Alien Earth, you have 2122 aliens, 2142 Alien Romulus, 2179, you have your regular alien movies. Shout out to Sigourney Weaver for holding it down for 1, 2, 3 movies. Well, we gotta see. She's been holding it down for all 4 of them. Because not that many people like Alien Resurrection. Me personally, I liked it. It's a great movie. It sort of adds on to the whole Alien franchise, even though you get to see Sigourney Weaver again. Sigourney Weaver again. Which a lot of people didn't like because she was technically dead, but they brought her back as a clone. Yes, the whole clone concept in movies is hated. The time traveling part of it, cloning part of it, the AKA quote bad writing or easy writing. If you hear the cat in the background, that is Cat Narenji. He's making sure the audio is working good constantly. So that answers that. Your timeline is 2120 between the first Alien movies and at the end of Alien Covenant. Basically, Weyland-Yutani's ship somehow, someway landed on Earth. Again, you gotta watch Alien Earth to get the concept idea of that. So that's another reason number 1 for you to watch the show. Now, second question that came up, this was on Instagram. Who are the companies besides Weyland-Yutani? Because your second company getting mentioned in the show, which is, Prodigy. So, the year 2120, there's 5 corporations that wield all major powers in the world. Wielding power basically means they're presidents of their own little nations. So, for example, Weyland-Yutani covers this hemisphere of the world, while you have Prodigy on another side of the world, pretty much ruling that area. So you basically say each one is the president of their own nation, and if something goes wrong where one area projects in, say, crash lands into another area, diplomatic protocol is enacted for them to get involved. So the whole quarantine of different items and things like that, that plays a major role. So you do see a lot of the politics of the multiple companies in the season of Alien Earth, which again explores a lot more in the universe. Just to give you some more feedback information, if you read the books and read the comic books, they go over this completely. We're right now getting a head start of what the comic books and what the books are actually doing. This been out for years. A lot of stuff is canon. Just FYI, Batman fighting the Predator, canon. Aliens being mentioned in Wolverine and multiple comic books, some of that actually is canon. So, that's another sidebar. That's something y'all guys are looking to invest to. So, people, read your books. Comic books are books. So, that being said, to drift off, Weyland-Yutani is what you already know already. Threshold, Dynamic, now, for your gamers out there, Dynamic, Threshold, and Lynch. If you played any of the recent Alien games, which I believe Alien is Fireteam, you'll see these companies semi-mentions as weapon dealers. Certain weapons you actually get from these companies. So, there are actual companies that's dealing in the weapon business, weapon arm business. So you'll see basically some of that shows up in the games more than you will really see in the actual film base. And again, you'll see a lot more of it in the books. Prodigy is basically what's the, I would say, the rival company in Alien Earth of what's going on. So, again, first episode, you'll get to know Prodigy, and you also get to know Wayland Yutani. That's one of the two main companies focused on in this first season. Which I'm hoping this second season is they go more into detail about the other companies, only because if something like this happened between Yutani and Prodigy, good lord, what happens with these guys if they're not playing ball the same way? So that was answered the question of that. So we went over so far our 5 companies and timeline. Now we're going to go into our second creature, which you'll definitely again experience, is the pod. It has another specific name I couldn't really pronounce, but just imagine a Venus flytrap hanging from the ceiling. It is mobile, so do not underestimate this. You will find that out in the season of Alien Earth. It is mobile. How is this mobile? I'll leave that to your imagination. But to paint a scary picture, again, shout out to the gamers on this one. If you remember Half-Life, classic game, amazing game. The little things hanging from the ceiling where you see little string coming down and you think it's a rope, and of course it's not a rope, and it pulls you up and kills you. This is basically what that thing is, but it's a lot scarier. So expect a lot of nightmare fuel from this show. But from what the show explains, it is carnivorous. It's not a plant eater. It's a everything eater. And what I mean by carnivorous, it is carnivorous, not herbivorous. It does not eat plants. It eats everything. But it does have its little ways of testing the water to see if something's coming near it. Again, not going to spoil too much of it for it, but I'm just letting you know, it is mobile. Do not underestimate the fact that it's a pod hidden from a ceiling. It is mobile. It is freaky as hell. Yes, I said that. It is. Now, we went over the tick, and again, your xenomorph, which you already know, but xenomorph, which is funny. So, let's get into the xenomorph, which you already know and love. So, xenomorph. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Let me pull this back up again. So, because of the timeline, the xenomorph we're getting is not the same as from the first Alien movie. So, a little bit of another spoiler. This xenomorph that's in Alien Earth is still dealing not hive mentality, but without a queen. So it's still independent, while all the other aliens in the other movies are all hive mentality. This one is actually somewhat independent. So it's not saying it knows other of itself is out there. As far as it knows, it's the only thing that's out there to its knowledge. So that would be a little bit more explained in the show, but I just had to say that specifically. This particular xenomorph does not have the hive mentality that it sees in the rest of the Alien movies. Not much in Alien Romulus. In the Romulus, they do have somewhat hive mentality because which I gotta rewatch. That's the scary part. Because I swear there was a queen in Alien Romulus, but I don't think there was. So, if you want to hit me back on that and give me feedback on that one, by all means. Any information that can help me out make this a little bit better is most appreciated. But it's not hive mentality. It's acting on its own, and anything that can speak its language. That's another thing you're going to see a lot in the books of the alien actually having its own little language and its sort of ways of communication. So, again, xenomorph, still aggressive, still acid for blood, still kill you in a heartbeat, but one particular feature, which is a more primal hunter feature, it does smell fear. Because I think with the other aliens in the other movies, it just killed. It saw you as hostile and food. Enough said. This one actually, if let's just say it's about to attack you, you don't show no fear or any that quote unquote hormone of your scent somewhat changing because of it, or basically sweat. It can sense that. Now, we went through Xenomorph, the Tick, the Venus flytrap hailing from the ceiling, And I'm going to save the best for last. The next one we have is The Fly. Now, this I'm going to spoil because you're not going to see much of it until later on in the season, only because it's hiding. It's basically a group of flies. Now, aliens have your acidy blood. This is a fly type creature that go away. Fly type creature that actually eats through its acid, similar to what a fly does, but its acid is like it's a pool. Have you seen the old Fly movie when he basically threw up on a guy and it turned guy arm melted off? That's basically what it is. And I do apologize for the notifications. Should have had those all turned off. So, cracking my knuckles. But you'll see these guys in action. I definitely give you that. It's not really much to fear with. It's just that once it sees what it wants, it's going to attack it and melt it away. That's the best way to describe it. Not much of a fear factor, except that you're not going to really see it when it does make its move. But when it does make its move, it's a little fly, and you just feel like you want to go and kill it. But it's much more bigger. So, now, like I said, I'm going to save the best for last. Actually, they do have the names. I do have the names. I do. First one we mentioned was the blood tick. The Venus flytrap creature was called D. Plumacare. The other one was just called the flies. And then we have our xenomorph. And then we have what everybody been waiting for to hear about. The nightmare fuel. The tricell. Tricephalus cellular something something. But in other words, the big bull eye with the arms. This is nightmare fuel. Warning, if you got an eye thing, yep, this will definitely mess you up for it. Now, what is cool about this guy is it's intelligent. Of all the creatures that they captured, none of them really showed signs of intelligence. Most of them are more primal, where it seeks out food, goes for food, or attack anything. This bad boy learns. Now, you're wondering, gee, how does it learn? Think of the idea of it being like, I would say, a spider. It has multiple eyes. It actually morphs its eyes or closes its eyes to, to mimic an actual eye of whatever creature it gets its holds to. Now, what it basically does to get a hold of you is literally what it does. It's an eye. It basically latches onto with its suction-like tendrils, remove your eye, and depending on the creature, it may and or kill it. But in a nutshell, it actually attaches itself to your brain, nerve cells, and controls the body. You will see and experience this. So again, nightmare fuel. I'm warning you in advance, when you do watch the first season of Alien Earth, you'll see this boy in action, but the main thing is, this thing is intelligent, which is rare for the alien universe. 99% of most of these creatures that's mentioned or in the show, all are more primal more than anything. This bad boy learns, this bad boy studies, and this bad boy will try to assimilate you, basically. So, but everybody call it tricephalus something, or we just basically call it tricell. But when you see this thing in action, this is the show. Okay? This is the show, Rona. Never mind the xenomorph. Fear this little bad boy. Yeah. Fear this thing. This thing right here. Yeah. Never mind the alien coming to kill you. Okay, alien gonna at least rip you apart and you be dead by then. Okay? No. This thing is just gonna, yeah. Words can't describe this thing. So, I'm glad to share my little piece of nightmare fuel on that. So, that answers our creatures questions, the 5 company questions, and now this we get to the nitty gritty. I know Narenji. Yes. He's in there, but he knows. Rangy, let it go. Let it go. Okay. Yes, I do apologize for that. We will try to get them edited out. If not, it is what it is. Now, second question, which really bothered me the most. So, if you don't know in Aliens, you know about the robotics, you know about the synthoids, and you basically know about where people advance. Question came up, and this I actually had to go out my way to look up and research. Androids, synthoids, and cyborgs. So, in this show, we're introduced to the cyborgs and the hybrids. The hybrids, I'm not going to delve that much into because I do have the characteristic listed up there. But because of the hybrids being new, because this is basically what's the show about and the new showrunner, I'm just covering the basic essentials. But your main thing is to know is synthoids are here. Sins are here. Now, considering this is still right after Covenant, we're still dealing with the sins without the emotional chips and without that whole cognitivity of it basically thinking sympathy. These are the sins we have. They have no sympathy, they have no remorse. So you're basically talking to something that already knows it's better than you and is gonna rub that in. So expect that to be there. Now, strength of abilities, enhanced, semi-enhanced strength, we'll say not metahuman level where it can pick you up, throw you, and you just shatter against the wall, but we'll say like peak athlete strength, smart incognability as far as thinking ahead, planning ahead, and doing mathematical equations ahead, it can do that. You're going to probably see one or two sins in the season. And it's just like your traditional ones. They don't sleep, they work consecutively, battery recharge, that sort of shindig. So that we got used to with Prometheus and Alien Covenant. We saw those sins, and then as it goes along to the other movies after Alien Earth, they just evolved, and then we have the Prime, which is Bishop with the emotional chip. So, just keep that in mind. This is before Bishop and the emotional chip. Cyborgs. Now, Cyborgs is a Weyland-Yutani thing. Sins is also Weyland-Yutani, but is also basically licensed out to all the other companies. But again, Weyland-Yutani is a forerunner of this. Cyborgs is their new thing, so you're going to see your first cyborg. So that's a plus side. Basically, augmented, enhanced mental body, a little bit more stronger strength. So say, for example, if it does go toe-to-toe with an alien or alien-type creature, other than dependent on what type of enhancements, it will have enhanced strength, enhanced if I got this right, reaction to being attacked, as well as full control of body and motion. So it's basically stated it goes in attack mode. It knows what it needs to do. It knows from itself what experience it in attack mode. But also augmentation, meaning arms, weaponry built inside the hand, armor, things like that. So you're gonna experience that. You're gonna see that there. But the main thing is also computer connectivity. So data, shared, uploading, downloading is the actual cyborg is gonna have that capability. So it can basically hack into any computer system that it needs to. And again, Weyland-Yutani, this is their technology. Now, hybrids. This is the new thing that's going to be the showrunner thing. I'm not going to go into details of how and what they are, but again, you've probably already seen it, cheated, already read it already. But this, quote unquote, is the concept of taking a human conscious and downloading it into a synthetic body. Is it real? Is it fake? Is it transcendence? If you've seen that movie, that sort of concept. But reason why this came up was that the hybrids, being these are prodigies, not Weyland-Yutanis, seems to be a lot stronger than the Sins and Cyborg. You'll see a lot of examples of that. But reason why this came up was what would happen if a cyborg sin fought a hybrid, what that sort of outcome would be as far as strength wise goes and fighting capabilities. Again, it's all going by what's in knowledge that both the Sin and the cyborgs have, versus the hybrid is self preservation of just kill or be killed sort of thing. So that's your whole hybrid type thing. But again, the show focused somewhat on that. So that's what's really, I can't really give that much into because it sort of kills the show for you. But you're gonna explore that whole sort of concept. So that was one of those challenging questions I did get. I actually had to look this up because there is a certain point where this question comes up, and you're saying to yourself, "Is that how that's supposed to end? Is this how that's supposed to happen?" That sort of thing. All right, so we went over that. And I think we might have just covered everything else as far as question goes. So overall, this is just on me. So overall, first season was great from start to finish. It had me locked in, watching it every day it came on. Versus what average people will sit down and wait for Hulu to get it and then just binge watch it. This show had me locked in. Now, it asked a lot of questions as I watched it, because don't get me wrong, I'll admit, I have not read or seen any of the books, but I did hear of them and I did read some of the comic books. So I did have a bit of more information going into this than with most. The video game part of it, this is why also, like I said, I gotta give a big shout out to the guys that did develop the Alien games, whether it's been good or bad. They did carry the lore over. Some people didn't appreciate it, some of them did. But they carried the lore over, and it also helped out as well. So a big shout out to game developers who did make your Alien games, whether it been Alien vs. Predator, the old school Alien game, Alien Colonial Marines, Alien Fire Team. Those contribute a lot, and honestly, definitely helped out big time to carry the Alien lore to where it's at its point right now. Now, as far as what I enjoyed most, yes, that's my beautiful desktop. Let me put this back up. It kept me in there. But what bugged me out the most is what you'll notice it is how it ends. So there's a little thing that like every episode has a reason, similar to what I would say what's that show? Peacemaker. It has its own little theme. Alien Earth has its own little theme of things that what it does, which I think is funny and hilarious. But start to finish is a great season. It was a great season. Personally, at the end, it raises a lot more questions of the universe, but then also a lot of people felt that it could have ended a lot better. It felt like, okay, you knew a second season had to happen, but you want to try to milk as much money as possible, which again, it's all about money. No offense, let's be real. Everything about TV shows sort of like this, where you got something that we want, you got it right, and we want more of it. So yeah, a money factor is going to come up with that, which again, understandable. But you also got to cater to your writers and your fans. It's like, look, don't shortchange me for when I'm writing to get my point across, to say, hey, let's save that for season 2. Let me get my point, and I can sort of cut it off how I want to go into season 2. That sort of thing. A lot of people felt that its ending was like that. I hate these notifications. Very unprofessional. But I would say you'll enjoy it from start to finish. You'll definitely get the feel of the universe, and honestly, these aliens, it really expands about what's out there, and it's creepy. It is very, very creepy. But I hope it does get a season 2. I really, really do. I hope they don't do the traditional, let's milk it out. because they could have left it. The ending could have been a lot better. I'll be darn right honest. It could have been a lot better. It's like you at the near the end, it just could have been done a lot better. But I'll leave you guys with that. So again, I appreciate all you guys who checking out this review. I appreciate you guys to death with that. And if this gets the right feedback that I got, I'm gonna try to do other shows possibly as well as movies. Because again, this is my first time, and with all the little technical difficulties, I feel it went well. I know you don't usually hear audio or things like that, but you listen to my voice. This is more personal, and plus, I don't want to get DRM'd or all those good things where they stop you from, uploading stuff like I had before. So I had to go through a little bit to get this done. But again, I do appreciate you guys checking out this video. And again, please comment, feedback, anything. There's no bad thing. Well, you could say bad things about it, whether the audio's bad or things like that. Or if you love my technical team, Kuma and the wrench in the background. But I do appreciate all you guys. And I hopefully see you on the next review. And again, if you haven't checked it out, Alien Earth is on most of your streaming networks, like Hulu and the rest of those guys. It's a good watch. If you need to binge watch this, I will definitely recommend it. And most of all, I recommend watch it in one shot. If you're gonna binge it straight through. Don't cut up in between. Don't watch an episode a day. Watch it straight, because you'll notice a lot of key things that you'll say to yourself, yeah, this is not going to end well. There's a lot of those moments. So, that being said, I give everyone a good God bless. And thanks again for checking out my review. And be safe. And again, check out Alien Earth. Peace.